everybody, and welcome back to the I Don't Know Running podcast, where we share our experiences that make running fun and sometimes not so fun. I'm Lewis, and I'm a self-admitted lazy ultra runner in recovery.
All right. I always have to pause now because you've been
trying to throw you off a little.
You know, and I'm Mitch, and hey, you know what? It's officially tulip time.
Oh, it is. Yeah. You love that time of year, don't you?
You know what? I like it now because we went downtown Holland today. Food trucks are open.
Oh, okay.
I had an Italian sausage and a corn dog. I had both.
Really? It's funny.
Food truck food is so good.
Ever since I moved to the Holland area, which was 20 plus years ago, we'd stay away from Holland during tulip time.
I do too. But one of the managers come over by my desk days. Like, I'm thinking about, I saw the food trucks are out. I'm thinking about going downtown. I'm like, I'm in.
The food trucks do sound good.
And it wasn't busy.
True. Yeah.
Because it's the week before. So we were in and out. It was like we walked in there, walked right up. And he food shamed me a little bit. Like, you're getting both? I'm like, yeah. I am.
Yeah. Mark, let's welcome our guest. Mark, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
We have Mark joining us. Do you do tulip time?
I try to stay away from tulip time.
Try to stay away also.
But I did go get food truck food last night.
What?
After we ran.
Oh, okay.
Because you're down in Holland now for running at night.
On Wednesday nights,
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah. Goes good with beer.
Well, it's funny this year because of the disaster that is Michigan road construction. It's Chicago drives all tore up coming out of, and they have a major intersection closed north-south. You can still get west, but you cannot get east.
I tried to go through there yesterday because we were going to lunch yesterday, and I'm like, I had to turn around.
Yeah. Yeah, I went.
Like, that's the perfect timing, right before tulip time when all these extra people are
yeah.
It's like perfect.
Perfect time. I don't know who the city planner is for this area or like who plans all this stuff.
Just in general, I think that they have to have a degree and screw people over.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
There's a degree in that?
Yep.
Yeah, we have, yeah, I'll be careful. But it just seems like a really odd time and I get it. There are a lot of factors that go into it. But man, this is the busy time for Holland. Mm-hmm. Let's shut down probably the most major intersection in Holland.
Yeah. It's great.
Yeah, it's great. Well, I mentioned I am a self-admitted lazy ultra runner in recovery. We came off from Glass City this weekend. We are going to talk about that a little bit. You said your legs are feeling it.
I'm in recovery and training for the next one because the next one is Sunday.
Yeah. So your recovery is rest, and then get ready to
rest.
You should be resting.
I'm training.
I get that. Actually, I mean, honestly, it's not bad. You didn't go all out effort, and you do running, walking, moving does help get rid of lactic acids, things like that sit in the legs. And
yeah. And the distance is distance. You can't take away from that. Right.
Yep.
And I've been running slow and I've been changing it up all this week. And it's just like, sometimes I come back really quick. This time it's like,
feeling it.
I'm feeling a little bit. Now, I don't know if I'm just not getting enough sleep.
And we will get into this more. I was surprised how my legs felt at mile 16. We'll say that's enough for this episode. We are going to talk more in depth about Glass City Marathon, specifically the marathon, the weather, how we felt, how the pacing went, how the overall race went in the next episode. But this episode...
Hey, we're talking about Boston.
That's
right.
So somebody we know ran Boston.
The guy wearing all the Boston gear?
The guy that bought out the store there.
I think I did my first year too.
He's single-handedly, I think he's even got the Boston Marathon underwear.
Right? Oh, I did not get that.
I didn't see that.
Oh.
I didn't see it.
You would have bought it though if you would have
seen it. I might have.
Yeah, but Mark went out and did Boston. We had him on last fall.
We had him on twice. So we had him on when he was like, I think I can qualify. And I'm going to do this race. And then we had him on when he actually qualified. And it's like, did you do it? And he did it. And
then this is his experience.
Now he's run it.
Yes.
I don't want to give away the ending, but he slacked.
Well, there's a couple of ways to run Boston. And
I think he did it the fun way, but I can't not give him a hard time about it.
Facts.
Yeah. So let's what I want to do, I want to talk about your experience, because I think it's a special experience to go to Boston and to walk through, because it's just a different race. Like even the Athletes Village, that's just not a normal thing for, 99% of the other races. There may be some out there that do it. I've just never been to one other than Boston, where you get bussed out to what they call Athletes Village. And the only people that are in there are volunteers and athletes that are running the race. And so let's walk through the Boston Marathon experience from the expo. Let's just talk about that a little bit. What were your expectations? What were your feelings doing it? And then Mitch will throw a bunch of curveballs at you. And
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. I
laugh at you and make fun of you the best you can.
Well, I'm going to do that. I mean, that comes natural, but I feel pressure now.
So let's talk about when you get out there. Let's talk about the expo.
Okay. So the one thing that I will say about Boston, it contrasted to Chicago, which I did in October, is everything in Boston is more central to the finish line area. So where in Chicago, they'd have different pop-up shops and things, but they'd be all over town and it wasn't as central. So when we first arrived in Boston, we stayed close to the finish line. You were 3 blocks from the finish line. You were 2 blocks from Newberry Street, where they had a lot of the major brands had pop-up shops, and the expo is right there. So literally, if you stayed downtown, which is not cheap, but I think your first time for sure, it's the way to go.
I just want to throw that out there. You flew in Friday morning already.
I did, yes.
So you took full advantage. They were there plenty of time.
Yeah,
Yes.
and for those that don't know, the race is on Monday.
Yes. And so, just being able to be around all of that, having it so close, I mean, that was why I wanted to go out early too. It wasn't just to run the race. It was to experience all the things going on. I mean, there's YouTube videos I watch, different things I watch, and there's a lot of those people that make those videos that are there, that are just walking the streets. The pros are walking the streets. And so you can see a lot of those kind of people up close, just acting normal like the rest of us.
So that's your basically Friday, Saturday, let's say.
Yeah.
Just getting into Boston, kind of walking around. I'm sure you walked to the finish line.
Yep.
Took pictures there. That's all people do the entire day, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, is take pictures all over the finish line.
Yep.
And where was the expo this year? Hancock Building? Wait, is it the Hancock?
I don't think it's the Hancock Building.
No, starts with a P.
I don't remember what the building was. I know
is it right there?
Yeah, it was right
next to the finish line.
Yeah, like a block from the finish line.
Yeah, the first year I did it, it was like a mile and a half away. They had it for whatever reason. I don't know. Pinnacle. That's where it was this year, I would guess. It's because it's at the base. It's in the base of that building. But anyway, they had it way away. And then they had it right next to it, which was cool, but it's a smaller location for the expo.
Mm-hmm.
So how was the expo? How would you say that compares to just a normal expo, right?
Yeah, it was, you had to wait. I wouldn't say wait in a long line to get your bib. You walked through multiple rooms. You probably walked a half a mile.
Okay.
To get to where you could get your bib.
Oh, wow.
So what days do they have it multiple days or just?
Yeah, it's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
So you went Friday?
We went Saturday.
Oh, Saturday. Okay.
Yeah. So already you're like, why do we have to walk so much? You weren't standing in line, but you were walking for a long ways. But then once you got to where the bibs were, it took just a couple of minutes, grabbed your bib, and then went into the rest of the expo. And I will say in the expo itself, I was not overly impressed.
Yep.
I mean, it was a lot of Adidas gear because they're one of the title sponsors. Then you kind of get into the other areas of it. And honestly, for me, there wasn't a lot that was to see. A lot of the other brands, like I'd mentioned before, were doing things outside of the expo on Newberry Street. And
Okay.
so there wasn't a lot of activity there around those types of things. I mean, they had, like, if you wanted rain gutters on your house, they had that there. And
Sweet.
Typical expo stuff.
Yes.
Did you sign up?
Yes. No. No.
Typical expo stuff where you're like, what is this doing here?
Yeah. Yes.
Well, you never know.
So it wasn't bad. It just was
normal.
Yeah, it's kind of normal.
Kind of like any other race other than you're at Boston.
Yes.
And you can feel the energy of Boston.
Yes.
That's one thing like I think of is, everybody's that is there is running Boston. So it seems like there's a different energy.
Mm-hmm.
Like this weekend, a perfect example was going, and I kind of shook my head, and I got to be careful, right? Because walking around Glass City, not really the expo, but it was the expo, the packet pickup. And there just feels like there's this posturing going on, like in general with people.
Oh,
they're so
anywhere you go,
proud and and I'm like, and I got to be careful because it is exciting. It is cool that people are running a marathon. It is.
We don't have to talk. I think any race, there's that person that's talking really loud. Well, it's either like, I want you all to know how much of a badass I am, or I'm normally a badass, but I got this little twinge, and I'm not going to run as fast.
Yeah, I'm not going to run at 2:30. I'm going to run at 4:30.
I already got an excuse, and I'm going to talk really loud, and nobody cares.
Yeah, I felt like, man, I've got to check myself a little bit, I think, because I was getting...
You're Mr. Nice Guy. See me, I'm going through
I'm not being mean, but I realized I got to check myself and let people just enjoy the experience that it is. And it is a neat experience.
I have to make fun of people.
Yeah, no, really?
Yeah. It pleases me.
So you got to enjoy the expo. You felt the energy of the expo.
Mm-hmm.
Where did you stay? Like, you said you did stay downtown.
Yeah, we stayed at the Hilton.
Okay.
From Friday all the way through. Like, did you move after?
No, we stayed
for the
nights
whole
there.
Week? Or
4 nights, and then because then we continued vacation outside of Boston after that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I knew you stayed there for the full week, actually.
On the East Coast. For the full week,
Gotcha. Yeah. Turned it into a extended vacation, which is
exactly.
Cool.
Yep.
So yeah, I guess let's fast forward. Nothing real crazy about the expo or the packet pickup. That was all normal, but you did sense the energy of Boston. Man, that's one of the things, walking around, maybe just kind of talk about the walking around part in that general area, the energy that comes with that.
Well, I think you know that the majority of the people that are running that race have done what you've done to get into that race.
Yeah, good point.
And so that's kind of a cool feeling.
Yep.
And the first time when we went down to the finish line, I won't say I got emotional, but it was a little bit of a cool, Mitch.
All right.
I mean, it was very cool to be standing there.
Yeah.
Especially, I know that there's people that have tried all their life or tried for years and finally got in, where I'm pretty fortunate where it didn't take me very long to hit that mark, but I still understood the magnitude of what it was to be there and what it took to be there. And so walking to that starting line, and I did walk across the finish line, even though some people are like, well, you're not supposed to walk across it, but it was cool. So multiple times during that weekend, we went down to the finish line for more pictures and more things. So
did you I'm just curious, did you have nice weather?
Oh yeah, we had really good weather.
Good. Okay.
Really good weather.
That's cool. And you and just so those that are listening know, you went with your brother.
Yep.
Who had been already.
Yes.
So he kind of had the, like, this is what you want to do. So you're not guessing at things or trying to figure a lot out.
Sure.
So that was probably very helpful.
It was very helpful. Yeah. There was, I think when I added it up, there were 11 of us that we kind of all knew each other and hung out for those first few days that were all running.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Which made it a lot of fun.
The year of the bombing, we had 12 of us, and that was the same sentiment leading up to, and then obviously very different after, but same thing. It was a lot of fun just having a bigger group out there. Okay, so let's go into, I guess let's jump into maybe the day before the race, because there is that energy leading up to, all right, you have to plan out your route. Did you take the buses?
Yeah, we took the buses. So the day before the marathon, I wanted to be off my feet as much as possible. Again, my goal wasn't to run as fast as possible at Boston, but it's still a marathon.
Yeah.
Still need to finish it.
Yeah.
So we went to the Red Sox game.
Oh,
with a bunch of us. So that was a good way to sit down for 3 hours and get away and not do a whole lot. I still think we walked way too much.
Did you walk to the game?
Walk to the game.
Yeah, because it's pretty close.
Yeah, it's a mile or so away. And so we did that. That night we had dinner. Basically all of us went with, like my wife and such.
Okay.
Out for dinner with a big group. And that was a lot of fun. It got a little bit long. The night kind of kept dragging and we need to get home and get some sleep.
That's the problem with going to the bigger group though.
It is.
No matter where you go.
Yeah.
It is. So again, tried to keep it a little low key on the day before the marathon. But then it was, what's the plan for marathon morning and get ready to go do it. Yeah.
And what time do you catch the buses, or you're trying to catch? What's that window?
I think I think we were around 7 o'clock, 6:30 in the morning.
Okay.
7 o'clock.
Yeah, I would have guessed. Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Yeah, because it's about a 45-minute drive.
Almost an hour. Yeah.
Almost an hour.
Yep.
And with the race started 9, 8.
And I think we started at 10:30. So maybe we had to be on the buses at 7:30.
Okay.
I don't remember exactly now.
Okay.
I didn't write down all my facts.
Yeah. Well,
Sorry,
last time
Mitch,
you came with like a sheet.
I didn't have my pad of paper with all my facts. But
so race morning, how is that? Like, explain that a little bit. Just like and I guess including the buses, because again, for those listening that don't know, they really highly recommend taking the bus because of the logistics getting into Hopkinton, right?
Yes.
It's a small town. It's a super small town, and they can't just have 30,000 people getting dropped off there. They need to have 30,000 divided by however many can sit on a bus getting dropped off there in an organized manner. So
loading the buses was honestly very smooth. My brother had mentioned too that years past it's kind of been standing in a lot of lines waiting, but we waited till they let our wave into the buses and walked to the end. We didn't grab the first buses. We just walked towards the end and we're on a bus within 10 minutes.
Nice.
And so that was very smooth. And then it was cram into a old school bus, uncomfortable.
Yeah.
For an hour.
Yeah.
Drive out of town.
So you arrive at Athletes Village, and let's just talk about Athletes Village a little bit.
Yeah, that was like any other race. It's they have a lot of porta potties and a lot of big lines. I think by the time we got there, we kind of could settle in for a few minutes. We had a large tarp laying on the baseball field at the school. So it was kind of a meetup point for a lot of us that knew each other that were going to be there. And then it was get in line for the porta potties. And about the time we got done with doing that, it was actually time to start walking towards the starting line, which is another experience.
Yeah, because that's half a mile.
It's a mile.
Oh
yeah,
wow.
It's pretty much about a mile.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Athletes Village is just that. It's just a holding spot, but it's a big spot. It's surrounding basically an elementary, right? Or is that
I'm not sure what. Some high school or middle
some
school
kind
or
of a
something.
school.
Yeah.
I say elementary because it seems small, but it's a small town, so maybe it is a middle school, high school. But anyway, yeah, it's surrounding a school. And my recollection is too, it's fairly fenced off. Like you can't get in there unless you have a bib, essentially.
Correct.
They have a ton of food. Like I say a ton of food. They have like bananas and maybe some bagel bites or something like that.
I didn't see any of that, but I didn't wander around, and we kind of went to where we were meeting up.
Okay.
And so I didn't kind of tour the entire area.
Okay.
There was a lot of sunscreen because the sun was out full.
Yeah.
On that day, and so there were people lathering up with sunscreen. And
did you get your picture taken next to the start there? There's a sign there.
Yeah. Yes, I got
in the Athletes Village.
Yes,
okay.
I got a couple of pictures there, and
I've never gotten a picture next to that.
Yeah, I think it says 26.2 miles to Boston or something from there.
They've been putting it up obviously for years, and that's like a common picture. But okay, so yeah, let's talk through the walk from leaving, and this is when the energy's starting to build because you're coming up on race time.
Yep.
You exit Athletes Village, and you start walking. And did you notice the 100 and something porta potties on your left that you could hit?
At about halfway. Yeah.
And then, so you think you're on your way.
Yeah.
And you realize, I can
and then
hop
you stop
in here.
again.
Yeah.
Everybody stops again.
Yeah.
But yeah, the walk, I mean, definitely, again, different from Bayshore, from Chicago. You got to walk a mile to the start. So more walking before a marathon. The crowd, it's kind of cool because as you're walking to the starting line, you're up a little bit higher and you can see down towards the little dip in the road. And it's just a mass of people.
Yeah.
A mass of people going to their, to the starting line.
To the starting line. And you're already starting to see, I say spectators, but it's really probably people that know people in the race. Like it's the final, like, I'm going to toss a shirt or whatever. Oh, wait, is that all fenced too? Like the walk?
Trying to remember somewhat fenced.
I thought that was.
But there's the neighborhood people that are already out in their front yard. Yeah. And you're not even running, and they're
just
there
already
to cheering you on.
Yep. It is a neat experience.
If you did not like that race and you live there,
oh my goodness.
Yeah, it would be bad.
That one day, that week where everybody's driving around and.
Yeah. I can't imagine moving to any town on that course and not knowing about Boston, because that would be a rude awakening, especially there.
Yes.
So you're walking down to the start. Anything special about that other than the feel and the?
No, nothing really to speak of.
Okay.
They did have, which I thought was interesting, I've never seen before. They had urinal porta potties.
Really?
Have you seen those?
Mm-hmm. I think I have.
So there's a spot on each of the four sides. They're wide open. Other than they put kind of a fence around it, and it's boy, you can crank people through on those.
Yeah, that's got to be better than just. They probably started that to stop people from peeing in their front yards.
True. Well, I think I've seen that somewhere at another race.
Huh. I think you're going to start to see that more because it's a great idea.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I have seen that somewhere. Maybe I've seen it even on a video or something of a review of a race going, wow, look how this cranks them through, Rowdy. Hey, knock it off. I have Rowdy joining us on the podcast today. So you're walking down to the start, and how does it feel when you're entering into the corrals there?
I expected it to feel more crowded.
Yeah.
I know Chicago was packed, but it wasn't as bad as that. I know that there's, a lot of people, it's really packed, it's really crowded, it's hard to run when you first start the race. I really didn't get that feeling.
Okay.
Maybe it was because I wasn't panicked about when it goes off, I got to go fast, I got to get through these people. So that might have been a little bit why I wasn't so concerned with it, or it didn't seem too bad.
Yeah, that makes sense, because you're not, if you were going for a goal, like a true, I want to try and run faster, you probably would have felt a little different.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure.
So you get into the corral, you don't start till 10:30. So when did you get into your corral? Like about what time?
About 10 minutes before the start.
Oh, before the start. Before the sand cyclist?
No, before our wave.
Oh, okay.
Which was at 10:30, I think was.
Because the race, what did the elites take off at 9:30 9:30?
Yeah, so they were
9:30.
gone before we
Yeah.
even walked to the starting line.
Okay.
So that
Okay.
races started, before we even started walking.
Okay. Cool. So let's talk through the race then. How was the start?
Did they have beer on the way to the start?
I didn't see any.
Would you have had some?
I don't know if I would have had some there yet.
Not before at least the first step.
Yes. So, yeah, the start of it was, again, I've heard people, when you first take off, it's downhill and there's people in the way. And again, it wasn't a big deal. Again, I wasn't trying to weave through people. I did a little bit, but we kept it pretty tame on that first hill for that first couple of miles, just running about an 8-minute pace and just kind of letting people spread out.
Yeah, because your qualifying time would have put you in a corral faster than what you were running.
Correct.
So you could relax essentially.
Yes.
Yeah. So that actually helped out.
And the first hill, the first mile and a half, it's a pretty steep hill.
Yeah.
So it's pretty easy.
Yeah.
So if you're trying to take it easy, it's a little hard to take it easy, but again, it worked out okay. But the one thing I'll say, about the whole course in general is everybody talks about Newton Hills and the Heartbreak Hill. And I got to about mile 5 and I'm like, this is all hills. This whole course is hills. It's not downhill, but it's uphill and downhill and uphill and downhill. So I'm just used to Bayshore, which is flat. Chicago, flat. Those are the 2 marathons I've done.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So that's a big contrast with this course.
Yeah, that's true.
Big contrast.
So, let's talk through maybe just the feel of the support through the race, because obviously that can vary race to race, and Boston is I'm guessing, going to rank tops because starting mile 2.
Oh, yeah.
It's every mile.
Yeah. So I guess I'll back up. Mile 5. So mile 5, this is where the fun, I guess, really start. My brother says, hey, there's a bar down here. They usually have tailgates. We'll stop down there and see if we can have a couple sips of beer during the marathon. So sure enough, we did. We stopped down there. And
there's 3 that ran together. 4.
Myself at this time, it was myself, John Mings, my brother Eric, and Tim.
Okay.
And so we were running together and we stopped and they said, what do you need? We said, something to drink. And they said, let's get you water. I'm like, nope. How about a little bit of beer? So we did that. And I thought, okay, this is game on now. Now, it's all in check, right? We'd take a beer, we'd split it between the 4 of us and then not even finish it necessarily, but just kind of the fun of it. And I thought, okay, now we're cooking. But my challenge was, especially in the first half, was you'd get to these towns and there'd be 3-4 people deep for a mile or 2. And I had a friend write my name on my arm. So the entire race, everybody's yelling my name.
Yeah.
And I'm running along the sidelines with the crowds, like high-fiving every kid I can find, taking popsicles. And I would get a mile.
Taking them away from kids.
I was going to say, you're taking away popsicles from kids?
That's just mean.
Wait a minute.
And I would get, a mile through there and I'd kind of turn around and look, where'd my brother and those guys go? And they're back a little bit and they're like, you need to slow down when you hit these towns.
Because it's hard.
Because it's a lot of energy you're burning. Even if you're not racing, you got a long ways to go. So they kind of gave me a hard time about that. Like, you're getting too excited, but I've never experienced anything like that.
The excitement, the energy that just encompasses the course.
Yes. Yeah. Chicago's got good crowds, but nothing like Boston.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I always say, and it's really hard to describe and explain. It's basically nonstop from about, I don't remember what it is, basically from the start. There's that one section you go through, it's like between 2 lakes or something. It's like 2 ponds, and obviously nobody's standing on the side of that. But from after that to the finish, there's people on the sides of the roads. And in the towns, it's deep on the sides of the roads. And so the energy it moves you. You can't, it's hard to slow down. So did you guys actually stop for these beers, or was it kind of a, hey, let's quick and we're going to kind of walk?
We would stop for a minute and a half.
So you guys were truly like, we are relaxing on this.
Yes, and then we'd run again it was kind of like interval training. We'd
That's
run 3 or 4 miles, and then, we've got to stop for a little bit and then recover. And then we'd
it's
go
good
again.
that you all had the same plan.
True.
You know, that you knew that it's like, hey, this is what we're doing. Nobody cares.
Yeah, that's true.
Those races can be really fun.
I was forced into that my first year because I crashed.
You weren't having fun though.
I did enjoy it. I was really good then.
But you weren't stopping to drink beer. You were stopping because you were dehydrated and
I may have drank a shot glass of beer, like because they're not handing you full beers, but some might be.
They were trying to hand us a whole lot of.
They might be in some areas, but I think at one point during that, I realized my race was done. Essentially, I was walking it in for a lot of it. And I'm pretty sure at least at like Boston College area, because that is insanely rowdy with college kids. I'm pretty sure at that section, I'm pretty sure I took a beer of some kind.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's get back to after mile 5.
Yeah, just going through all the towns. My wife and my sister-in-law were at, I want to say mile 17 or something.
Okay.
Our friend Tim, we got to about mile 10 and he said, why don't you guys just go ahead? I'm struggling a little bit. So we met my wife at mile 17 and we stopped and took pictures and talked to them for 5 minutes or so, waited for Tim to come back and catch us. And just, if somebody had to use the bathroom, they went, we all stopped and waited, and then we took back off again.
So not to put the cart before the horse, but I'm just curious what your time was.
3:54.
Wow. So you just took
still wanted to be under 4 hours.
Okay. Yeah. That's not bad. Yeah. So let's talk about Wellesley. Is it Wellesley College?
Wellesley College. Yeah.
Let's talk about that. When did you hear it?
I heard it, I would say about a half a mile before you could start to hear it. So John's the single guy in the group, so we just let him run right straight along the fence. And I'll be honest with you, I don't even know if he got a kiss or did. Probably he did. I just was moving too fast.
Yeah.
Didn't turn around to see.
And your wife might be listening, so you stay way away. Way away.
The other side of the road.
I didn't even look.
They're on the right side.
And there's nobody on the left, so I stayed on the left. Yeah, exactly. But no, that was something you hear about.
Yeah.
And to see that is, there's a lot of screaming.
Wellesley College is an all-girls college, and they line, right? I'm pretty sure in that. It's an all-girls college, and they line basically they may be on both sides, but it's the right side.
It's the right side primarily.
Is packed. And they talk about the something tunnel. Is it what is the
Scream Tunnel?
The Scream Tunnel or whatever. And he's not joking. It's at least a half mile. Like, it's so loud. You hear it coming for like a half mile.
Mm-hmm.
And half mile, you're going, that's still another, 3.5 to 4.5 minutes, depending on the pace. That's a long time to hear that scream coming.
Yeah.
So, and I too, I had a buddy go with me my first time, and we actually ran together through a little bit after that. And he was telling me, yep, you're going to hear it soon. And sure enough, man, you heard it, and it was insane. Cool. So so you get through Wellesley, and moving on, explain from there, I would guess to mile 20.
Well, then you get to Newton Hills, and then you understand a little bit better what the hills were. Again, because of kind of my mentality of how I was running the race, it wasn't as bad as I thought.
Yeah.
Heartbreak was long.
Yeah.
When you got to the top of it, you were definitely glad you got to the top of it. Your pace was definitely slowed. I think most of that hill, I just literally put my head down and looked at the ground and tried to hang on just to keep somewhat of a pace up that hill. But yeah, I've never run a marathon with a hill like that. And it's just long.
Yeah.
It's just long.
I believe Boston College is at the top of that because there's almost like don't you go
I think
through
it's
like
right after. I think it's after that.
Yep.
It's after that.
Not far though, is it?
No, I don't think it was very far. Because once you get up that, it is more downhill the rest of the way into Boston.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to help much, but it is downhill. It is noticeably downhill.
And so I've only pushed it hard at Boston. I've never, I wish I could, maybe someday I would take it in the way you took it in. I mean, the first year, like I said, I did for about half of it. I was a wreck. Could be different. But I will say, man, those hills are tough when you hit them when you're running hard.
Oh, I'm sure.
They will redline you fast going through.
I'm sure.
But yeah, from I guess the reason I say that is from 13 or Wellesley to basically to Newton Hills. I don't want to say it's uneventful, but that's the section you don't necessarily remember the best. There's still a lot of people.
True.
There's a ton of people still cheering. You go through some towns. There's still a lot of energy, but it's just kind of like they just kind of all blend together.
I would agree with that completely.
From there to 20.
Even not running hard, it's like
I think once you get past 20 in most races, you can check out because
from 20 to the finish, you remember.
Oh,
is what I'm saying. From 13 to 20.
But there's always a section where you're kind of like, all right.
Yeah.
Yep. So let's talk about then after the hills.
So after the hills, we did do a stop at Boston College.
Okay.
Because of course
it's insane.
The frat boys are all at the fence and we had to stop there. They had PBR, so that was a definite stop. You got to see the Sitco sign, which is again, like they talk about, oh, there it is. And it just never seems to get there. And again, we weren't running extremely hard, but we're at mile 21, 22. And I kind of question, how did I ever run 3:18? Because it was hard enough at that point where, I mean, some of it was our own doing. We'd, go run along the sides and do, high five everybody in the crowds. And you do that a couple of times and you're like, that is so exhausting. I can't keep doing that.
Then we did do it again.
Yes. We did get to a couple points, I think at like mile 22, 23, said, okay, up here at this next sign, we're going to walk for a minute or so, and then we're going to go again. So we were kind of in that walk run.
And let's
towards
face
the end, because it was getting hard.
And let's face it, and it was hot.
Yeah, it was warm.
It had gotten very warm.
Yes. And so that was kind of the mentality. And I didn't feel bad for doing it.
Yeah.
Which is nice. Like, okay, we're going to walk a little bit.
That wasn't in your head that you should pick it up?
No. Man. No, not really.
That's cool. That's good.
I need to have more of an impact.
And even as we got closer to the finish line, we took a little walk because we wanted to be a little bit fresh for Boylston Street.
For the right and the left.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's jump forward to that. Because it's fairly uneventful. You do see the Sitco sign, and it takes forever to get to it. And that's one of the things I think I was told is don't look for it because you're going to see it forever once you see it.
But it is very cool to, just iconic to go, okay, that's.
So, and once you see that, you run over that overpass and you come down to it essentially, and then you take, I don't know how it weaves in there, but let's take it into the finish then.
Okay.
Because this is obviously huge.
Yeah, so as we're coming to make the left onto Boylston, it was kind of interesting just because Eric and I and one of our friends, Skip, had actually. Oh yeah, go ahead.
I got to take you back because, wow, can you start what you sensed when you took your right?
The right.
The right before you took the left.
Yeah, honest, it wasn't.
Nothing major there?
Nothing major for me there.
So see, for me, when I took that right, I felt like, man, it's like an echo chamber in the buildings there.
Yeah, I didn't really.
So you hit it when you took the left?
Yes, when I took the left. And one of the points that I thought was interesting is it was myself, my brother, and a friend Skip who had was going to run fast. He blew up, and then he caught us at the end to finish with us. And we all took the inside of the turn.
Yeah.
And John took the outside of the turn to high five the crowd as he went around the turn by the fire station. And we were like ready to finish, and he was still having fun.
Oh, wow.
So
he was the one that actually fell back and then caught back up.
No.
And John had 2 more races to run after that.
Yeah.
Oh, John. I thought you said Tom.
No.
Okay.
No, because John ran London then the next week, and then he just ran Toledo again.
Oh my goodness!
So
that's right, Toledo.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
that's a good plan.
Yeah. So we get onto Boylston, and you're right. Even though I had walked that street a bunch of times, it's a long way to the end.
Yeah.
To the finish from there, we get about halfway, and my brother's calf starts cramping.
That was your chance.
I know.
We were behind.
I should have just gone, right?
Yeah.
So
I'm disappointed.
In true form of the way we ran the rest of the marathon, we all stopped, waited for him to stretch his calf out, and then we could take off running again.
Oh, that's awesome.
And he still beat you.
And he still beat me.
Oh, man.
Like 0.01.
Chip time.
Yeah, by a second.
Not even a second. It was less than a second.
Was it less than a second?
See, the key to that is if you want to beat somebody that you're going to run with, you have to let them start ahead of you.
I had that plan in my head, and I just got caught up in the start, and I didn't do it because I thought the same thing.
You always have to real quick. Oh, sorry, I got to tie my shoe. And then you let them take off and you go catch up.
Yeah. And then you finish together and you win.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
he's got another chance.
Yeah. So crossing the finish line was probably one of the best experiences I've ever had.
Yeah.
Doing anything. Again, I mentioned last time going to Boston was like going to the Super Bowl. And I mean, I didn't win Boston, but just thought that was the best time I think I've ever had.
You got your new PR at Boston.
As in...
Well, I mean...
Oh, for Boston. Right. You have a Boston PR, which is 350 what? 354.
Hey, you set your expectations low for next time now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so unfortunately, since Bayshore, Chicago was 321, and then this I've been slowing down lately. So
you got time.
I got to get the speed back.
Blame your brother for his cramp.
Yeah.
I would use that.
So
otherwise, you would have been way faster.
Yeah, there you go. Would have qualified probably.
His fault. Yeah.
Boylston is insanely loud.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can only imagine it feels like being on the field of a football game, like a Super Bowl, and you score a winning touchdown or something.
Absolutely.
It's crazy how loud it is.
And they're out there, you're a winner. You're a winner.
Yeah.
You're a winner.
Well, at Boston, you feel like it.
You do.
Because it's deep on that street as far as how many people back on the street watching. And it's like that entire distance.
Yep.
All the way to the finish.
Yeah, and again, I contrast it with Chicago. Chicago, the finish line, there's bleachers that people have to pay to sit in, and nobody's sitting in it when you finish.
Yeah.
So there's nobody really there to cheer you that last couple hundred yards.
They shouldn't
at Chicago.
Pay.
Well, it's funny because like I had heard that I had ran Boston before I ran Chicago, and I had heard people say, "Oh yeah, Chicago's great spectators and crowd support the entire race." And I went and ran it, and I went, "No, it doesn't. It's not even close. Like it is, yeah." But anyway, so cross finish line, and then the medal area and all of that.
Yes.
Talk about that a little.
Well, I was still, even with the pace that I ran, I was a little dizzy, a little worn out.
Natural.
So getting the medal was cool. My wife called me pretty much a couple minutes after, and I had to tell her I can't talk right now because I'll be dizzy and I'll fall down. I'll call you later. But yeah, it was, I don't know what I expected it to be, but it was way better than Chicago and having that feeling finishing that race and the medals. But then at that point too, there's a little bit of like, okay, I gotta get something to eat. I need to get something to drink. I need to, not pass out and ruin the experience.
Yeah. I mean, let's face it. They have, what number Boston was this? One says it on your somewhere.
28.
128. 128, right?
Yep.
Jeez. They have that many years of making things, doing things well. And so it's no surprise that they should, and they do, from the time you get there through packet pickup, through the race. So yeah, I mentioned like the race as far as aid, it starts at mile 2 and it's every mile on the mile. A very stocked aid station.
Yes.
There's no shortage of cups. There's no shortage of anything. There's no shortage of volunteers. And then even to the finish, when you're walking through, there are so many volunteers handing out this or that, whether it's a medal or food or whatever. You can't not have a volunteer around you.
Yes.
It's so well put together.
Yeah, the aid stations, I think it was like every mile or so.
Yeah, I think it's every mile. Starts at 2 and then
which is nice because with it depends on how the weather is. If it's hot, you want every mile, but you can skip, you can almost go every other one if it's busy, if you're trying to push it, but depends on the weather.
Yeah.
And if you're not getting that much to drink.
Yeah, they had Morton's on the course at some of the aid stations. So I had stuff with me, so I was just taking those and sticking them in my pockets for next time. So we were just stocking up. Figured if I get enough of them, I could
have you had those?
Sell them and pay for my race. That's what I typically have used.
They are so disgusting.
I like them.
I've tried them.
That stuff.
And I do not care for them. Probably because I'm used to the sugar from goo. This tastes good.
Ooh, messes with my stomach. It doesn't matter.
It does mine too. That's why the Morton's supposed to be really good. Like the way it breaks down and the way that, like, I don't remember all the chemicals and how
I think
it's
that's
all
the
put
problem
together.
is goo's got too much sugar in it. It immediately gives me a stomach ache.
And I've been fortunate. I've tried all different ones and nothing has ever given me a problem.
Yeah, same here. I just don't like the taste of that one. That's why I don't do it. But I think it's supposed to be really, really good how it works. So yeah, you get through packet pickup, packet pickup. The medal.
Back.
Yeah, we're going backwards. the finish line, get all your medal and all of that good stuff. You go around and probably find your wife at the what's that called? Where you find your family?
We tried to meet at the family meetup, but there was like a security check for them to get in there.
Oh,
and finally we're like, we'll meet you outside of it. Yeah, we'll meet you outside. And so that's when I officially could put my jacket on.
Okay. So wait, so you had already bought your jacket?
I bought my jacket and gave it to myself for Christmas.
Oh, okay.
But I had never tried it on. I'd never put it on. I was told, don't do that.
Yeah.
Till after you've crossed the finish line.
Did you buy one for your wife?
No.
This is an inside joke.
Yeah. We don't need to go there.
Well, we've been talking about it and we laughed about it last week on the run.
Yeah. So did you go to the store after as well?
No, I did not.
You had done all your purchasing ahead of time.
We did all that ahead of time. So everybody kind of disbanded. We went back to the hotel for about an hour, took a shower, and then we were going to meet up at, there was a bar down the street.
Oh, okay.
And that was an experience. So we've got the jacket on and we got the medals. And we walk in, there was 6 or 7 of us, and the place erupts. Cheering, high fives all the way through the bar, all the way to the back of the bar.
Was there nobody else wearing them?
I've got video. You were a rock star.
Oh, wow.
It was unbelievable in this particular bar. And I thought, wow, they really appreciate the marathon. But I think it's because they didn't have to work on Monday.
Right.
And they got to go to the bar. So absolutely, we love you for coming to our town to run our marathon.
Yeah, that's one thing about Boston is it shuts down for Patriots Day, which is when the marathon is.
Mm-hmm.
So it's actually I don't know that it's a paid holiday. It might be for them that work there locally. But yeah, it's an off day for a lot. And I think that also is part of the reason why they have boatloads of volunteers. I mean, everybody's off.
Yeah.
So,
but that was a crazy experience. And honestly, I felt like everywhere we went for the next day or two, people, oh, you ran the marathon. Oh, you ran the marathon. We were even in North.
You wore your full getup. You had the sweats on.
I didn't. I just had the jacket.
What? What? How can you tell?
Still wearing the
medal.
bib.
He's got the medal on.
Yeah, we were even in North Boston the day after, and we stopped at a Dunkin' Donuts. And this is the part of Boston where the people live and work. This is blue collar Boston, right?
Yeah.
And we stopped at a Dunkin' Donuts and we get out and there's a couple of guys that looked a little sketch standing in the parking lot. And this guy, probably 350 pounds, comes walking towards me and says something to me. I'm like, what? And in a Boston accent, did you run the marathon? And I said, yeah. All right. He's all excited. And I'm like, okay, this is my ticket about anywhere I want to go in this city right now. So
you just wanted a hug.
Yeah. It was crazy.
They do embrace it.
They do.
Yeah.
They do
which is
very
cool.
much. Very much.
Well, awesome. Any other big like highlights from, and I guess the other part of that is I do want to know, because you crossed finish line. At one point, did you come off the high and you go, all right, this is done. I've completed it.
I thought I'd come off the high after we went back to the hotel, but then again, we went out and it was like, oh, we're right back in it again. People are cheering for us.
Okay.
So,
because you never took your medal off.
Yeah, I never took it off. And then probably the next day, I was like, okay,
it's done.
That was fun.
Yeah. Because there is that, like, it's such a buildup, because you qualify how far ahead, then you get in, and then you have this long wait for the race. And then obviously it's an entire weekend building up to the race. And then the race, there is a bit of a, I don't know, it's done feeling. Whereas with some, it's more of a like, I don't know, like Glass City, it was like, yes, it's done.
Well, and I think for me too, that getting to these milestones, and so there's a little piece of me now, it's like, okay, now what? I mean, I ran fast enough in Chicago this past year that I have a 14-minute buffer for Boston 2025.
Oh,
so
nice.
if I want to go back, I can, but it was kind of less of a big deal that time. Like, oh, okay, I can go back which I'd love to go back, but it's expensive and how many times
the way you did it. You don't have to buy all the stuff again.
Yeah.
Just buy a jacket next time.
Yeah. And you don't have to stay right there. You can stay outside of town a little bit. And it can be more affordable, but yeah.
But so it's what's the next thing to strive
what is it,
for?
Mitch? How's it go? What's your next big
stupid?
Stupid, yeah, that's it. What's your next big stupid?
Well, I know what's next.
Yeah, we talked about it.
Yeah. What are you going to do at Chicago? Kick his ass.
Oh, that.
I'm trying to run a sub 315. I think he's trying to run a sub 310, and we'll see if we can.
So a 309
race somewhere in the middle.
We got to change your goals.
That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah. Yep. We may have to see, because this could be an interesting head-to-head. So.
Cool. And that's going to happen at Chicago?
Yeah.
You're both running it.
Yeah.
Both
me and my
racing.
Brother. Chicago. Yes. So this is a business trip.
Is John Mings going on that one?
He's pacing again at Chicago, so he'll be there.
He's pacing.
Yeah. Not pacing us. He
needs to pace
in
you.
the 355 group or something.
He needs to pace you.
Oh, yeah. He'd get me there.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's pretty good at that.
Cool. Well, I was going to say,
I was going to say, he might have been friends with your brother longer, but.
Yeah.
Oh, is that right?
Oh, for sure. Much longer.
Well, he might want to do that then.
That's what friends do.
Yeah.
Sure.
Anything else that stood out that we didn't talk about?
No, I mean, as far as the race and everything, I think I pretty well covered it. Again, I'll be 55 in May. It's like, I'm not the most talented. So, I mean, if there's people listening that think maybe I could do that, give it a shot. I mean, it's not easy, and I'm not going to say everybody can do it, but
you just have to believe.
You just got to believe,
and work really hard.
Oh yeah, there's that stuff too.
Yeah. So
there's a mental side of it which can limit you, and you do have to train. The mental side of running.
True.
Because I was talking about this with somebody I know, a friend of mine, and he was I go, yeah, I'm heading to Glass City to pace Glass City. And he's like, what the heck, man? You were just like not hardly running. And how do you do that? And I said, well, I've had a good start up to the year. I've trained, but also there's the mental side where I remember going out for like one of my first 8-mile runs thinking that is so far. And then you do a 20 mile or something like that, and you look back and you go,
or you do a for fun marathon distance.
Yeah. Yeah, you do that.
With no shirt and medal.
Yeah. Didn't get either of those.
It's funny because people have been talking to me like that have been like, well, how's he doing? I don't know. He's out running. And then they're like, well, he's going like really fast. What the heck? And I'm like, I don't know. He kind of just does that. Like, it's like,
whoops, I'm fast.
It's not that hard for him.
Well, there is that too. I think that there's the natural build that can allow people to go a little bit quicker, and there's those that don't and have to work a whole lot harder.
Right. Mm-hmm. And they're like, that's not fair. All right. Well, probably not.
It's not fair, but it's what it is.
Right.
It just is.
Yeah, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
I feed in.
Lovely. I'm sure you do. Yeah. Well, cool. Well, congrats.
Thank you,
Mark, on Boston 2024. You guys had wonderful weather in the sense of like, you didn't freeze your butt off. I remember in 15, that's probably the coolest I've ever been on a run. And at the end of that one, probably the last 5 miles, I knocked way more cups off from volunteers' hands than grabbed.
If you were dressed for it, it's better performance weather. If you're dressed for it.
Yeah, it's funny because that was But that was
that year that it was like so windy too, wasn't it?
It was windy, and it was not predicted to be that. All of a sudden the weather flipped. Like we went out there with, it was supposed to be like 60 to 70 for the race. All of a sudden it was like 40s and rain and wind into us.
Yeah.
The entire way.
Yeah, that part would suck.
It was awful. I mean, I say it was awful. I did have a decent race, like 3:10-ish or something like that. So it wasn't horrible. And I did perform well because of the weather. But I was freezing. Oh my gosh. Freezing.
And we see how you get when you get a little
cranky.
cold.
A little cranky.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway, congratulations, Mark.
Thank you.
I am, I don't know. I do have a piece that just loves Boston. Brad Prime, he sent a text, man, you got to go back to Boston. He went back this year. So I think he took a couple years off. He's been a lot of times. And it did make me kind of want to go, man, I kind of do want to go back and run it again. Because it's such an experience. But anyway, yeah, that's Boston Marathon. And yeah, go check us out on Facebook. Go check us out on YouTube and all your favorite listening platforms. Check us out on Patreon. And you can join us for free there or choose to support the show in some way, shape, or form. But with that, that's going to wrap up this week's episode of the I Don't Know Running podcast. Be sure to tune in next time as we share more about what we just don't know.
Until then, happy running.